it's Adam here. Today I'm going to show you guys this. This is the Segway, Hoverboard, Mono Rover, Iohawk, Funky Duck, whatever you want to call it. It's the Hoverboard. If you guys have ever seen this, if you have one of your own, anything, this video will prove helpful to you guys. In this video I have composed 5 different parts. Each part works on something completely different, and throughout the entire video at the side, there will be annotations to where you can click to see each different category of the video. Part 1 is gear and setup. This talks about where to get these things, the pricing you can get them for, the different kind of gear you may want to use and wear while riding, different methods of scratch protection for these, and how to protect the board, as well as yourself. Part 2 talks about the different styles of riding, from foot placement to ankle versus weight style of riding. Part 3 is where we learn to ride. It's all about getting in the right mindset to ride before you first get on, then learning how to mount, go forwards and back, side to side, turning, all the basics. Once you've mastered that, we move to Part 4, where we talk about how to ride more effectively. It's a way of perfecting the art. Talking about your posture when you ride, the different types of terrain and places you can ride for different effect, knowing when to stop or slow down, as well as how to take tricky parts like curbs and ledges. And then we move on to Part 5, the advanced tricks. Talking about things like how to get through a space smaller than the width of the board. You can do it. Also moves called like the figure 8, doing a 180 on this thing, and 360s. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Okay, so first off, let's talk about where to buy these things. You can get these things from some really sketchy sites, okay? They may, look at the reviews, look up not necessarily reviews on the website, but from other places like on Google. And if all's good and you find a good deal, cheapest. Basically all the same units from the same manufacturer in China, okay? One board is not going to perform better than the next. When you're on this thing, they will all feel the same. So like I said, pricing, you can get them as cheap as $200 up to $1,800. So you found your preferred board for the right price and everything looks good, you buy it. It's in your hands, it's shipped to your house and you want to get right on, but hold up because you may want some gear. If you are nervous to get on this the first time and you're kind of scared, you really want to learn how to ride but you're scared, I highly recommend at least a helmet, okay? If you're scared. If you feel like you've got this, then take it at your own risk, but helmet may be necessary. Additional things, if you're super nervous and you just want to assure no injuries, elbow pads, knee pads. You will fall. I actually have a couple minor cuts. It won't be too bad, but it could be bad. You may get some cuts on just your elbows and knees, so pads like that may totally help. Also, you want to wear shoes. When I first rode on this for the first time, I was wearing shoes, and my friend Griffin, who was in this room, was wearing no shoes. He was in his bare feet. Let's take a look how. I have done, on this board, the complete protection method. This board came with rubber bumpers on the top, but no way to install them. They were just sheets of rubber. I epoxied them down and then covered them in tape, but you don't have to do that. The best method I have for you guys is hockey tape, or even duct tape, something like that. Let me move over to the desk and show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright, so my biggest complaint about this board is that I love it too much. When I go anywhere and I fall off and it gets scuffed, it's super annoying and kind of sad. So I wanted to protect that. After the first 2 or 3 times of falling and I had some scuffs, I hated it, so I came up with a way to fix it. I noted where the scratch marks were, and even where they weren't, where they may occur. That happened to be the 4 wheel welds, okay? So basically the corners of where the wheel meets the plastic on both sides were kind of scuffed up. Okay, so it looks a little bit messy here, but the black definitely helps. But if you're super protective, you could put on this tape when you go out, peel it off, and you won't have any scratches. Hopefully the idea is instead of scratching the board, when it runs and hits the ground, it'll just scratch the tape instead, cut it up maybe, and you peel off the tape and you're good underneath. Again, if you don't have any bumpers over it, run the hockey tape over the top, because when you, if you're going fast and you fall off and the board rolls, it'll roll right on top. That's what it's designed to do, is roll on top of these welds. If they're covered in the strips of this durable hockey tape or any tape that's thick enough, you know, it won't touch the plastic, it'll touch the tape. Very basic idea, something you may not have thought of if you're tired of the scratches, or before you even go on, if you want a pristine board your whole life, just do that. I also took weak spots that are known to chip This plastic is pretty thin, and I'm pretty sure if you banged it hard enough on the corners, it will actually snap. So I took epoxy on a popsicle stick. If you guys don't know what two-part epoxy is, really, really strong glue, and I just kind of coated the edges in it. What that did was basically bonded that really, really hard bond, so it hopefully won't break ever. Little things like that that make a big difference. You don't feel it when you're riding, it doesn't affect any turning or anything like that, but it just makes it safer. And all the more fun when you peel off that tape when you're done at the day and there's no scratches. Alright, that's about it for all the methods of protection, whether it's you or the board, where to get the board. We want to move on to riding this thing. Okay, but before we ride, we want to talk about some more things, namely the different places you can place your foot when you ride, and also different ways of riding. So before we even get on the board, you want to talk about foot placements. Okay? When you get on the board, where are you going to put your foot? Well, you put it wherever you want, but there's different places to put it. I ride this with my friend. He likes to put his foot directly straight right in the middle of that sensor pad, like this. Me, I personally like to have my feet pressed up way sideways against the welds. What I mean by that is my feet pushed as far apart as they can. It makes my stance a little bit wider, but makes me more comfortable on it, and it makes me feel like I have better control just because my feet are really close to the wheels. But, you know, some people may like their legs straight. To put your feet in the middle more like this keeps your legs completely straight down, and some people like that better. Makes you certainly look a little cooler, I think. Now, the instructions, depending on the instruction manual, the one I have, this user's manual, will tell you, at least the one I have, to keep your heels on the inside and your feet out. So kind of on an angle like this. And it does feel kind of nice. It's not quite natural, but it makes it really easy to turn, but not overturn. Forwards is a breeze, backwards is kind of easy too, because your foot, when you walk, naturally kind of veers out just a little bit. Kind of walks like this, not a straight line. So this is maybe not that dramatic, but or that drastic, but like that. Maybe just slight turns. Maybe feel a little more natural to you, but those are the three different ways of riding. I personally, again, like my feet out like that, and it's how I'm going to be riding in the video. Okay, so you will figure all that out just by riding, what feels nicest to you, but those are the three things you can definitely try. So next, when you get on, and you're going to want to try to go forwards and move around, you're going to think, how do I do it? There's different ways of doing it, two main ones. So the first one is ankles. It's how I do it. Technically, when people explain this, you look at any other YouTube video, they'll say lean forwards to go forwards, lean back to go back, and then turning, they can't really explain. You just kind of turn. It's like it knows what you want to do. It knows what your brain wants to do. Well, that's not true. Look at the science of it, break it down. I found I wasn't using my weight to lean forwards, especially up curbs. Curbs get tricky. So, you can use your weight, and I'll shift up the camera in a sec to show you what I mean. But personally down here, to show you, I use my ankles. It's very, very subtle, and you can't really tell because the board's moving with it. But if I were to step off the board, push it aside for a sec, when I go, I kind of move my ankle forwards to go forwards and back to go back. And similarly to turn, if you want to turn this way, you push your foot down. I push the front of my toes down and the other foot back, so kind of alter them, like, and then it makes it turn. Vice versa, go boom, and it'll turn. It's just the way it works. I push my toe down, my heel down to turn one way, other way. Right? It's like a switch, and then I go forwards, up. I don't actually race off the board, but I kind of push forwards with my feet, like that. Go back, lift. And that's just how I do it. So, demonstrating it on the board now, you're on, and you're not going to be able to tell as much, but I push my feet forwards, ankles back. To turn, this toe will go down, that ankle will go back, and it'll spin me pretty fast if you do it hard. And you can get, that's a really effective method to spin pretty fast. Okay, so that's how I turn. The other way of turning, you have your chest and you lean forwards, and your weight will carry you. Now, I don't like that because then to stop, you have to lean back. But it's not that dramatic. You can lean forwards a bit, lean back. You know, you can lean forwards a bit, lean back. And there you have it. So that's ankle versus weight style of riding. If you want to use your weight to your advantage and shift that around, or if you just want to mess around with your ankles. You can see my chest is staying in the same spot, but the board's going everywhere. That's all footwork. Okay, so those are different things you can try on the board. Let's get on this. Before you ride, you have to get in the right mindset. Well, what does that mean? Getting in the right mindset entails knowing what you have to do before you try and do it. So, when you get on the board, to stay straight up, you got to make sure that your weight is distributed equally on both legs. You can't put all your weight on one foot. I mean, maybe you can if you're a skilled master genie like I am. But overall, if you're going kind of speedy down a street, you want to make sure that to ensure that you're going to go in a straight line and get no speed wobble, you are standing completely straight on the board. You don't have to stand straight, but like standing so that your weight is just, boom, straight down on both legs evenly. Okay, so just know what to expect. Just think about what's going to happen and be ready for it. Don't freak out, okay? That's the biggest thing when you're on it. Don't try and stay steady. The board will shake and stuff. Relax. Relax, keep your feet flat with even weight, and just stand there. Alright, so how to mount? It's very simple. Take your dominant foot. What is your dominant foot? For me, it's my right. Maybe you don't know. Honestly, whatever your brain feels like is going to be easier for you to stand on one foot. I mean, it's pretty easy like this, but whatever just feels more natural. Maybe do it for a little while if you're really scared. My right foot is my dominant one, so I put that on first, okay? Don't stomp on it like I just did. Do a, soft plant, step up, and put your other on. It's really, really simple. Of course you can hold on to something your first time. Hold on to a pole, maybe, and get on, and then gradually let go, and just maybe hold on to what you're holding on to and just kind of practice doing this while you're holding on. Just kind of wiggling back and forth. Not actually going anywhere, but just getting a feel for the board, okay? So that's mounting, but you also want to talk about how to unmount. So I reverse engineer it. Put my right foot on first and followed by my left. So I'm going to take my left foot off first so that I'm left with my dominant foot on, my more comfortable one, and then remove that. I'm obviously to the point where I can get on without having to hold on to something, and that's what you need to get to if you want to have some serious fun on this. You want to be able to free mount. A unicycle, so that may make this a little bit easier on me, but you want to be able to free mount, okay? So that means not holding on to anything. So you've mastered mounting, you've got on and off a million times, and you're like, I've got this. I'm ready to let go of that pole. So you let go. Now where are you going to go? Well, forwards or backwards is probably your best bet. So how are you going to do it? Just like I talked about before in the different types of riding, whether it's ankle or weight, use your ankles to go forwards, use them to go back, or your weight. Just play around with it. And that's why I said when you hold on to the pole, make sure you kind of do this. You mess around, you just go back and forth, kind of practice, okay? Methods of turning, like I talked about, you want to use your toes and your heels and alternate them. So kind of push your toe down, heel down, you turn, and vice versa, other toe down, other heel down. Just play with it. The most important thing is you get in that mentality and you think about what it is you're doing, and then it'll come naturally. Alright, so those are obviously the very, very basics of riding, forwards, backwards, turn side to side, and that's it. That's really all you need to have some serious fun on this, but to do crazy maneuvers like I can, well, I'm limited space here, but you want to ride a little more effectively. So, when you ride, make sure you're standing straight up. You don't want to be slouching like this when you ride around. I mean, I totally can. I can like squat on it and ride around. Like so. You can, but you want to make sure if you're going down a busy city or you don't want to fall, stand straight up. The more your weight is in a straight line down, the easier it's going to be for balancing. So obviously when you first start out, everyone's like this. You don't want to be thinking about your posture. But as you get comfortable, think about standing up straight. Okay, so there's different terrain and places to ride. This affects everything. I'm riding on this carpet right now. As soon as I go onto the square mats in my garage, it'll feel different. Even on concrete, there's different types of concrete, gravel, everything. These things are known to take grass really well as well, so don't be afraid about grass. But the best is if you go into a store, maybe a big chain store, a Walmart, something with slick flooring, a Costco. Don't actually do this because you may run into some people, but maybe even the cops, but no. But you know what I mean. If it's a slick floor like that, if you're comfortable using it in your house on hardwood, laminate, something like that, just try different terrains, you'll get different feels. These things are advertised to go over 10 miles on a charge, and they would if you were in slick flooring the entire time. If you're on rough, bumpy gravel and it's working on hills and stuff, no. Okay, so another really important thing that will help you from scratching this thing, and it's the thing that took me the longest to know. Sounds pretty easy, but when to stop and start. Learning when to stop and slow down when you're going really fast and you want to go faster is crucial. These things, I'm pretty sure all of them have built-in beepers. When you are leaning at your maximum and the motors can't hold you up anymore, it's going to start going beep, beep, beep. You can maintain that speed, but anything more and the motors are going to give out, the thing will roll, you'll get thrown off the front. Basically, if the thing goes beep, 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 learn to lean back, okay? Trust yourself, trust yourself. And then there's how to take curbs and ledges. When you approach a curb, you must use your ankles. Using your weight going up the curb or pushing your chest forwards or something is gonna suck. Approach the curb straight on, don't try it on an angle going up 45 degrees. Bad idea. This will prevent scuffing if you go up straight, okay? Tilt your feet forwards. Sometimes, what you may even find you do is if you just inch 1 foot up first, 180 on it, and then back up the other foot, and then you can go off. That's kind of what I do sometimes if the curb is kind of tricky. Now I can slowly go up a curb, but at first I would put up one, turn around, put up the other, and then keep going. It's kind of confusing, but it's just the way it works. Taking curbs and ledges is something that you have to practice. Also, if there's little tiny cracks in a road or a little rivet in the floor or something, and you go over it fast, chances are that'll be better than if you go over slow. Because if you go over slow, you're going to get this ta-tung. But if you go over fast, you'll breeze right over. That's effective riding. Let's work on the advanced tricks. Okay, so let's talk about getting through spaces smaller than you. We're going to have to move location for this one, guys. Okay, so for demonstration's sake, these two objects are heavy. They weigh 1,000 pounds and you can't move them, and they're your only way through to get to where you want to go. But you can't quite make it. You can see my wheels are wider than where it is I want to be able to get through. So what do? Ever heard of a ripstick? Turn sideways, and you want to do an S-like pattern, swaying your feet back and forth like this. Okay? Now I'm kind of bumping these things, but hopefully whatever it is you're doing is like a wall or something, and if you just very slightly touch it with the back of your heel, it's not going to move or anything, but that's how you do it, and you get through. This box is a little too light. I want something that won't move as soon as I poke it. Get out of here. Okay, here's something. You have your grandmother's box of delicate china. And on the other side, you have recycling bin. And you need to get past them for some strange reason, and you can't. I just want to be careful with this china, but you've got to get through, and it's like, oh, just not close enough. So, you do the S pattern, okay? Really, if you learn to turn, you turn a little, and then turn your board, and then back up in the same direction. Okay? So, you want to constantly be moving in the direction you're trying to get to. You can see what I'm doing. Angle forwards. Turn the board, angle back in that same direction. And you just slowly move forwards. So get out of here, China. Go back to my grandma. Let's go put out the recycling. Oh yeah, it does your recycling. This next one is the figure 8. Okay, so I just made this, the figure 8. Hopefully this is a little easier way to show you how what I'm doing, it makes a figure 8. So obviously you can do this. This is cruising around in a figure 8. Obviously you're thinking, wow, this is easy. That's not what the figure 8 is. Okay, so The reason I call this the figure eight, although it's not really one, the movement I'm doing is this. Okay? It's a little mini sort of figure eight. If I try and do it on the tape, you'll see I go forwards onto this piece, back onto this piece, forwards onto this piece, back onto this piece. I guess it could be an X, but just feels kind of like a figure eight. You can go any which way. You can go in circles, like I'm doing piece by piece now. Right? It's basically turning in a circle, but as you move, you bring the board forwards and backwards as you go. It's something that looks pretty cool, and quite frankly is really fun. So now a 180. Okay, so let's start by going backwards. I think starting going backwards, turning and going forwards is easier. So you simply go backwards and then turn around as you move. 180 is pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory, okay? Self-explanatory, but the 360 is that. So if you're going and you start going backwards and keep going, it's like 2 spins. 360 is really simple. I don't mean going and then doing this and then continuing. That's lame. But if we get a lot of space here, and as you go forwards, you go backwards, forwards, and you keep going. It's hard to do in this small space. It's really cool. Backwards, forwards, keep going. Right? You can do a reverse 360, which is where you're going backwards, turn to go forwards, turn to go backwards, you know. Really simple. Okay? And that's it. There's not too many tricks you can do on these things because they're not strong enough yet. One day. You can't hop them, and do not put straps on your feet and try and jump with these things up on the stuff. The middle will snap right in half. That's why I'm refined to the amount of tricks I can show you guys. So if you guys have any cooler tricks you want to send me, maybe send me a link to like a video message or a video reply, or just give me like a title of something and I can come up with a cool move for it. I don't know, something like that. I want to know some more tricks, but I'm kind of limited to my imagination. And everything else I've showed you is from stuff I've seen on videos. The figure eight is really the only thing that I've done that I haven't seen before.